Hi guys, it's Shar. Welcome back to my channel, Craftin' Up a Storm. Today I have some more great fall projects. Fall is my favorite season and I cannot wait to do even more and get into the October projects as well. I also have a new glue gun that was suggested to me to try out, so I'm gonna open it up on my video today and use it and let you know what I think. It's from Amazon, and I will definitely put the link in my description. Hopefully some of these projects inspire you, even in this heat, to get ready and think of fall. It's just around the corner and I cannot wait. Let's get crafting. I received this glue gun to do a review. It's a cordless glue gun off of Amazon, and I will put the link in my description. It's a very lightweight, small glue gun. It comes with a detachable front stand. It also has a wire kickstand that comes out near the nozzle. It comes with a packet of glitter glue sticks and all-purpose glue sticks. And it comes with a charging cord. And overall, I used this in my projects in this video, and I really did like it. There was no drips. It was a smooth dispense. I didn't quite charge it for the 3 hours that it was needed. It says if you charge it for 3 hours, it will stay charged for 90 minutes of use. And I found that to be true, but not on the day I did this video. I didn't let it charge enough, but I really liked it. For my first project, I am going to use this Cathedral arch or window from Dollar Tree. Now, I had received this or done a project with this earlier, and I had taken it apart. It's kind of two pieces that are screwed together. I took the front piece and I took the label off the front and I painted it completely in Waverly chalk paint ivory, and then I ran some Waverly wax over the top of it. So it's already been painted. I'm gonna use some of these bows from the fall decor at Dollar Tree, and I picked up some of these mums and I used some boxwood just to decorate and put a little fall floral to this arch decor. I know boxwood isn't particularly fall normally, but I really like the look of having a little bit of this darker green with the mums. You'll see a little later I do add a few more fall florals to it. I just had run out. I put the bow on it. I tacked it down with a little bit of glue, and then I went and flipped it over and used the wired tie on the back and secured it to the back of my arch. You can see that I had this arch in two pieces, so the back is not completely flat. I put a craft stick down in order to make a flat surface to glue my wood blocks down to make a bit of a stand for it. I glued two wood blocks together, and then I put another block on its side out to give some stability to be able to stand it up. I also trimmed the tails of the ribbon. I left them dovetailed, but I did shorten them a bit just because it was a little long for the front of this arch. Here I'm adding those little yellow fall flowers from Dollar Tree as well, and I thought this turned out really cute. The next easy peasy project, I grabbed a tall white candle from Dollar Tree and three of the white pillar candles. I have this wonderful ribbon from Dollar Tree as well that looks like birch, so I'm going to cover my tall candle This one takes at least 3 sections to cover it up since it's a taller candle. For the next set, I wanted another tall candle, but not quite as tall as the last one. So I stacked 2 of the pillar candles up. I wrapped around the middle of it with that birch ribbon. And then I cut another piece in half, and those 2 ends worked to cover up the top and the bottom of the candle. And that's nice. What's nice about this ribbon is it blends together very well. For the last candle, I still needed it to stand up just a little bit, so I added some tumbling tower blocks to the bottom of it, and then I just wrapped some of that ribbon around it so you could not see those tower blocks, and it looks like it's just standing up on its own. So now I have 3 candles. I wrapped some twine around all 3 to secure them together. And then to the front, I will add another of the fall ribbon. I believe I had to trim this one down as well too. And I'm just dovetailing the ends still and shortening them a little bit. I glued my ribbon to the front of my candle trio. And then I wanted to add some little fall touches to it. I added these leaves on the side, and I was going to tuck in these little berries. In fact, I did tuck them in at the top and then decided I wanted something a little different, so I took them back out. And you'll see that I'll add something else later. I had these little fuzzy round fall pieces, and I just wanted to use a little of the greenery off of it, and I put that in on the side. And I added a couple of leaves from another floral piece. And there's my candles, easy peasy. For my next easy project, I picked up a foam wreath form and some really great fuzzy mustard yellow yarn at Dollar Tree. I started with tacking down the yarn, and then of course I just wrapped it completely around this wreath. And I'll be honest, it does take time. I wanted nothing to show on the other side. Now you can paint this wreath form first if you want to. However, I was going to make sure that my yarn was wrapped good and close. And then I'm even going to go over the top of it with a couple of loose layers, and I'll show you that as well. So I just kept wrapping and wrapping. It took time, but it wasn't bad. Once I had it completely wrapped, you'll see I went back around it very loosely with another wrap, and then I went back over that again. And I just continued to do that probably 3 or 4 times, trying to kind of get a different slant to it each time. I just wanted to build up and add some texture to it. Once I had enough wrapping and where I had it where I wanted it, I glued everything off. And as you can see, I probably did 4 or 5 layers of that loose yarn. Very simple, very easy, just to add a little texture to our wreath. I made a burlap bow, and I decided to use some of that yarn as my middle section of my bow. So I glued it down and then wrapped it pretty good and tight. And that's going to make my knot on my bow. I used another piece of burlap as a tail, and I put that down and then glued my bow over the top of it. For decoration, I love these little sweater pumpkin picks. They come off the pick very easily, and I can use that for another project. But I used the orange sweater pumpkin pick, and I got some of these small yellowy orange fall florals. And I just picked all of them off and kind of added them in. I also have a couple of the orange mums from Dollar Tree as well. I just added floral to the side on top of some hot glue and just filled it in until I had enough floral that I liked. Pointed a few of them down in front of that bow a little bit and just kept adding. Very super simple wreath, but I really like this yellow yarn, this fuzzy yarn. It was easy for this project. In the next project, it's a little more tough. It was a lot more gluing, and I kind of got fuzzy everywhere. But this wreath, I love. I love how it came out. Let me know what you think. All right. This one was tough to use the yarn with, but I do like the way it came out. I picked up this faux pumpkin from Dollar Tree, and I removed the stem. I opened the top of it a bit, so I cut it open and then just kind of popped that piece out. I did this on the top and on the bottom. I just cleared some space. My reasoning was to take the yarn that I'm going to cover this with and kind of poke it into that hole. And it started out that way. After a while, that it just fills up and it's not really doing that, but it still worked out good. I used that same yellow yarn, and I started by just covering up the indentations in the pumpkin and making those sections. I don't know that that's necessary. It helped me to be able to kind of see where I needed to cover up the sections for the pumpkin. So that's how I started. I'm now taking some yarn strands. I'm going to poke it in, and I'm going to cover the sections in between those two strands. And I wanted to see how many it took. I believe I used 8 strands of yarn in between each of those sections. And so now I'm just taking all 8 and gluing it down at the same time, and that went a little bit faster. I no longer have that kind of hole to poke that into, so I'm just gluing it down on the bottom, flat as possible, and pulling it up the top of the pumpkin and gluing it at the top. I just worked my way around the pumpkin, and I kind of alternated from one side to the other side in each section. That tends to make things a little more even, kind of going back and forth. Once I had it glued down good, I would go in and kind of trim those ends off so that the bottom stayed as flat and even as possible. Yeah, you can paint your pumpkin ahead of time. That may be a little easier. It will help cover it a little better, and then nothing will peek through those strands. I was okay with leaving my pumpkin this green color underneath. Once I was finished covering it with the yarn, I poked that stem back in, and I laid down a couple of leaves and some of those little fall flowers, and my pumpkin was complete. Let me know what you guys think. I used these same metal flowers from Dollar Tree on a farmhouse project, and I really loved it. So I'm using it again for this project. I've got several different fall colors. I've got a brown, a terracotta. Instead of this orange, I used a harvest orange, and then I've got the cantaloupe color. I've also got the mineral chalk paint and ivory chalk paint. And we're going to kind of take these apart and paint them in these fall colors. They come apart very easily. For the wire on the back, you just have to kind of bend it to the side and it comes off. I'm using the darker colors on the biggest flowers and going toward the lighter colors on the smallest flowers. So these are my flowers painted. I'll have 2 of each size. I'm going to take that chalkboard and I just go over the edge of it with a little of the Waverly wax to stain that. And so I rub it on real good, rub it in, and then kind of buff it up with the cloth. Any wax that I got onto the chalkboard, I did clean that off. Now I'm starting with my darkest color and working my way out. I will offset each flower so that all the colors will eventually kind of show through. I started with the dark brown, the terracotta, the harvest orange. Here is the cantaloupe. And then the mineral at the very top. On the last one, the ivory, I used some of that wire that I had applied kind of the rusty paint technique to, so it kind of rusted it up. This is just that green floral wire from Dollar Tree. And I had a piece left over that was had that rust paint on it. So I used that in the middle and wrapped it around my ivory flower. Just random, wrapping it around so it's a loose, non-symmetrical pattern. Once it was good, I kind of scooted everything to the middle and made sure it was good and flat. And then I glued that one to the very top. And now I have a very similar take on that farmhouse flower in fall colors. I glued some tumbler tower blocks to the back and it's ready. I hope you enjoyed these projects. If you did, hit the thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. I'd love to have you as part of the crafty family. Have a great day, and as always, keep crafting.